I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. Who started no new wars. No new wars. No new wars. No new wars. Wars?
A few moments later.
But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This can't be true, right? No way the FIFA Peace Prize recipient, Mr. No New Wars himself, kicked off the new year with a new war.
America can project our will anywhere, anytime.
Do we truly believe that Nicolas Maduro will be replaced by a modern-day George Washington? How did that work out in Cuba, Libya, Iraq, or Syria?
Well, it is true, and as a result, he has alienated swaths of his own base and even several GOP lawmakers, which we'll discuss. That's right, Mr. I Want a Nobel Prize launched a major military invasion in Venezuela and captured the head of a sovereign nation, which has split his own party.
He hasn't even been able to say what the goals are. Let's recall that every step of the way, he's lied about what he's doing. He said that he's not doing regime change. This is exactly what he's done. He said this war was about the drugs. I think we all know that it's not going to stop drugs. He first said it was about fentanyl, then it turns out fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela.
Over the weekend, the US military launched a large-scale strike in Venezuela, targeting key sites in Caracas and capturing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, who were flown out of the country and are reportedly set to face federal criminal charges in New York. Trump was swift to hail the operation as, quote, successful before playing videos of it over a notable anti-war anthem. Before then adding that the United States will, quote, run Venezuela until a safe, proper and judicious transition can take place. Because, well, where have we heard that before? Oh yeah, every needless war presented to the American people with any of the following veneers. I mean, take your pick. War on drugs, war on terror, weapons of mass destruction. Also, if you believe the attack on Venezuela and kidnap of Maduro is about drugs, then, well, I have a God Bless America Bible made in China to sell you. Need I remind everyone that Trump just pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, wwho was an actual drug trafficker.
In your heart of hearts, when you think about what the United States just did, I think there are very few Americans right now who have any idea why the United States did this. If this was about drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States?
You have the former president of Honduras, who was tried and convicted in American court. And he was convicted in part for importing 400 tons of illegal drugs into the United States. And this president, President Trump, who claims that we are fighting narco-terrorists, pardoned him, gave him a full and complete unconditional pardon. So no, it isn't about narco-terrorists. It isn't about trying to make Americans safe from illegal drugs coming to our border.
This is about, well, actually, I don't need to tell you, the President of the United States, to his credit at least, is just openly telling you what it's really about.
The countries that negotiate with Venezuela for that illegal oil are already starting to suffer. What do you see as the future of Venezuela's oil industry?
Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. We can't do something like this, and we're prepared. You know, we were prepared to do a second wave. We were all set, and this was so lethal, this was so powerful that we didn't have to, but we're prepared. We're out there with an armada like nobody's ever seen before, and we're prepared, and frankly, probably thought we were going to have to do it but we were prepared for a second wave going in.
Yeah, that's about as far as you can get from peace territory, especially for a leader whose own rhetoric on foreign affairs in the past has said he wants to minimize overseas interventions. But this move isn't about peace. It's the most direct U.S. military incursion in Latin America since, Panama in 1989? And it is set to have a catastrophic impact on Trump politically. While some Republicans, or as we like to call them here at Meidas, just war hawks, have cheered the Maduro capture, a handful of GOP lawmakers have openly criticized Trump's Venezuela action. Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie broke with the president almost instantly, saying that he questioned the legality of the strikes and the subsequent capture, noting that if this operation were constitutionally sound, then the Attorney General wouldn't be tweeting about arresting a sovereign head of state under a U.S. firearm law. He was followed by Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, another figure who once closely associated herself with MAGA, and she was swift to blast the administration, saying, how could this possibly be America first?
Let's be honest about likely outcomes. Do we truly believe that Nicolas Maduro will be replaced by a modern-day George Washington? How did that work out? In Cuba, Libya, Iraq, or Syria? Previous presidents told us to go to war over WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, that did not exist. Now it's the same playbook, except we're told that drugs are the WMDs. If it were about drugs, we'd bomb Mexico or China or Colombia, and the president would not have pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez. This is about oil and regime change. And when it comes to regime change, we've already been down this road with Venezuela with nothing to show for it. In 2019, we recognized Juan Guaido. We seized their embassy here in D.C. We were told that regime change was imminent. Years later, Maduro remains in power. Today, we're told to place our hopes in other exiled figures. Edmundo Gonzalez and Maria Corina Machado. I wish them well, I do. But Congress should not express moral sympathy in the form of a blank check for military escalation and American lives. And let's take a moment to acknowledge the contradiction at the heart of this policy. This administration tells us that the Maduro regime is made up of narco-terrorists, and by escalating toward war, we would predictably create countless refugees. At the same time, this administration has moved to end temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans and deports them back to the very regime it condemns.
And those criticisms underscore something pretty important here, right? Even Trump's usual base doesn't uniformly support an unauthorized invasion and the unprecedented capture of a foreign leader. It's not just about left versus right. It's about constitutional authority and limits on executive power that clearly this administration just feel doesn't apply to them.
The president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night.
But akin to Trump's executioner-style maritime approach, he altered this military action without clear congressional authorization. Need it be stated again, under the U.S. Constitution, only Congress can declare war. And while presidents have broad authority in limited circumstances, seizing a sitting president of another country and occupying that nation, even temporarily, raises clear and obvious questions about executive overreach.
So which is it? Are we prepared to receive swarms of the 25 million Venezuelans who will likely become refugees and billions in American treasure that will be used to destroy and inevitably rebuild that nation? Do we want a miniature Afghanistan in the Western Hemisphere? If that cost is acceptable to this Congress, then we should vote on it as a voice of the people and in accordance with our Constitution. And yet today, here we aren't even voting on whether to declare war or authorize the use of military force. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution that strengthens the fabric of our republic by reasserting the plain and simple language in the Constitution that Congress must decide questions of war. I urge support for this resolution, and I yield back.
To the point that the international community, many of our allies are warning this sets a dangerous precedent of unilateral foreign intervention. I'm starting to understand now why Denmark have bolstered their own military and declared the US an official threat to their sovereignty.
Well, first, I'd like your reaction to seeing Denmark, a NATO treaty ally, looking across the Atlantic at the US and seeing a potential threat. Tell me how the two countries got here.
It's not great that now we're receiving threats regarding Greenland, which is the main concern from a Danish point of view.
See, it's one thing to say you're going to target drug smugglers out at sea, which again, the American people have been kept in the dark over and just expected to accept hoorah from Pete Hegseth as a justification for the lethal force free from judicial oversight. It's another to conduct an overnight strike on a sovereign nation's capital and declare, oh, we're just going to run this country now until further notice. That's a level of escalation that, yeah, isn't rare for the United States, but the American people did not sign up for, and much like the Epstein files, will likely become a unifying factor for those who don't want to see more American soldiers die over oil. I mean, for years and years, Donald Trump has tried to fashion himself as a peace-oriented leader, someone who wants to avoid endless foreign wars and pull back from foreign entanglements. I mean, that was a big part of his original appeal in 2016, which he discarded as soon as he got in office and has claimed throughout his second term.
I'm the only president that didn't start a war. I didn't start a war.
This president, no wars.
Started no wars. You're going to end up in a war. Or war or no war. They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades that didn't start a war. They're the party of endless wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new war. There were wars all over. He said, bring back Trump. It'll all end. It all ended. We had no problem. And I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president.
Meanwhile, like most of Trump's promises, they're as reliable as a stake in Trump casinos. He backtracks, he contradicts, and ultimately he betrays those that put their faith in him somehow. Again, from America first to we'll run your country until we decide it's safe is a pretty steep pivot to the start of 2026.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.